Fine. Okay, so let's start. As I told you all last week, we will start with the questions that we had from the chapters that we covered so far. So starting with the books of prime entry and journals, there we had a question on cash book. So I just wanted to complete those questions and then move on with the new topic. So the screen is visible to you all, right? You all can see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Right, fine. So let's look at the cash book question that we had from that chapter. As you know, there was a question, the cash balance of MN, I hope you all have done or maybe say given a try to do it, but let's do it in the class now. The cash balance of MN company as at 1/1/2019 was rupees 50,000. They deposited rupees 30,000 in the bank to open a current account for business transactions. The transactions of the business in the month of September are stated below. All checks are deposited in the following day as per company policy. Okay, as per the company policy. So then they have given some transactions, and I would like you all to do a small correction in the last transaction. That is on 25th September 2019, where it says a computer is purchased for rupees 30,000 by a check. You have to add that part. Okay. So now there is a key element in this question that you need to understand, right? The cash balance of MN company as at 1/1/2019 was 50,000, which is very clear. So the company's brought forward balance, we call it as the brought forward balance on that day is 50,000. So what they are doing is they are going to take out 50,000 from there and put it into a current account, which is going to be used for the business purposes. So now this current account is going to be your bank account, your bank account. So what does these two information give us? That is, a cash book is going to be there, which is going to be a double column cash book, because you have cash as well as a bank account. So you need to show both the columns, which is the cash column and the bank column. Okay. Then the second part of the description says the transactions of the business in the month of September are stated below. All checks are deposited in the following day as per the company policy. Now here, what does it mean is when you are doing or drawing up a cash book. Now in businesses, what they do is whenever they get checks, it could be from their debtors or it could be for various other purposes. Whatever the checks that they receive, they will keep it with them. And once, maybe say you get 5 or 10 checks per day, you collect them together and then you go and deposit it to the bank. So this is the procedure. So what you do, you initially collect all the checks and then you send it with maybe a deposit slip or whatever. You check deposit slip, you might draw up a check deposit slip and put all the checks and send it to the bank to be deposited in your bank account. Now what happens, or what is the relevance to the cash book now? So what happens, the bookkeeper or the person who is maintaining the accounts, what they will do is, as and when you receive a check, they will record it in the cash column. Okay, as if there was money received. They don't record it as in the bank column, they record it in the cash column. So what they do is they will receive money, and the money received will be recorded in the cash column. Once, maybe say on that day, maybe if you are depositing 5 or 6 checks, you collect all, and then when you send it to the bank, what do? You will credit your cash column and debit your bank column. This is the practice. Okay. So as per this question, they say checks are deposited in the following day. Following day means the very next day they are going to deposit it. Okay. So in exams, how you need to follow this is, it's very rare that you get a cash book to record transactions in the examination. But just for knowledge purposes, in examination, sometimes we can record it straight away in the bank column. You don't need to go through this path, recording it in the cash column and then transferring it to the bank column. That kind of a thing is not required, because anyway you are going to record it ultimately in the bank column. So this question also, what we are going to do, even though it is said that you are putting it in the cash column and then recording it in the bank column, we will record it straight away in the bank column. It doesn't matter. Okay. So if you all want, you can initially put it into the cash column, and then you have to see what are the checks that have come during the day, and then you put it into the bank column. Here in this question, there are no multiple checks being received on the same day, so you don't have to worry much. But the correction, as I told you, the last transaction, you have to take it as a computer is purchased for rupees 30,000 by way of a check. So they are purchasing a computer and giving a check for 30,000. So let's look at the transactions. So as you know, the cash book structure will be date, particulars, and then you get voucher number, folio number, all those. I have eliminated those because those details are not there. Then you get the cash column, bank column, and then you also have the discount allowed and discount received. So if you look at this question, there is no discount allowed or discount received. So I have eliminated that also in this question. If you don't have any information, it is okay to eliminate those columns. It is not a must that you need to have all those columns. Okay. So we are just doing it for practice, but it's very doubtful that you get it in the exam, like prepare to draw up a cash book. So the initial transaction, they say balance brought forward is 50,000. Balance brought forward is 50,000. So what we do, we record it on 1/1 the date. Particulars will be balance brought forward. And where do we record it? We record it in the cash column. Cash column, because it's a debit. Anything that is receivable or in your possession, it's an asset to you. So that is a asset. As the result, we record it in the debit side. Then the next transaction was where they say that they have deposited rupees 30,000 to open up a bank account. Now, from here onwards, you have to always think about from the double entry perspective. So how you record these transactions in the books of account, not merely in the cash book, but overall how you record it. So what they say here is they have deposited rupees 30,000 into the bank account. So what is going to happen here? Cash is going to go out, but it is going to come in the form of a bank account, because bank account is also one of your assets. So what happens? The transaction will look like this. You will have a 30,000 transaction by debiting the the bank column of the cash book and crediting the cash column of the cash book. You have to clearly understand that difference. What is going to happen? Your cash is going to go out, which is the credit. But money is going to come in the form of a bank account, So that is why we are debiting the bank account. Now from here onwards, it is all transactions. Okay, it is all transactions. So you see, on 1st of September 2019, a check of rupees 10,000 paid to JD Limited. Paid to JD Limited. So what has happened here? They have paid to JD Limited. They have paid to JD Limited, and this payment is in settlement of a what? Debtor. In settlement of a debtor. So what will happen actually? Your transaction will be recorded in the cash book as a payment. As a payment from your bank account, because you are going to use your checkbook to draw a check which is payable to JD Limited. JD Limited. So what happens on 1st of September? Your description will be JD Limited. What we do when we record the double entry transaction, we put, if you are recording the debit, you will put the account of the credit. And for your credit, recording of the credit, you will put the debit of the debit account of the description. So here, 1st September means you are going to settle JD Limited. So JD Limited will be your description, and your bank account is going to get credited. So sorry, I made a mistake. Here it will be a creditor. JD Limited is your creditor. So your creditor is going to come down. There will be a reduction of 10,000 from JD Limited, and you are settling it by way of a check. By way of a check. Then the next transaction on 2nd September, they say rupees 12,000 received by check from Madura. Now we don't have to worry who this Madura is, but what we need to know is, now you have received a check. It could be as a settlement for one of the debts. So one of your debtors is paying you by way of a check. Now ideally speaking, as per the question, what should happen? The check should be initially debited to the cash column. Debited to the cash column. Then you need to transfer it to the bank column. Just like the 30,000 that we did, likewise you have to do it. So what I have done is I have eliminated that path and I have recorded it straight away . Straight away as a deposit received from, or in other words, a check received from Madura, which is on 2nd September, and in the bank column. You see? So I assume this bank column is now going to increase 30,000. Now it is going to weigh 12,000. So 42,000. Okay. Then on 4th September, rupees 1,700 paid to settle the monthly electricity bill. So you have settled the electricity bill on 4th September by paying 1,700. So this 1,700 is now paid by way of cash. So what do? We credit the cash column, and my description would be the corresponding account, which is electricity. Because what I will do, I will debit my electricity expense account for 1,700 and credit cash for 1,700. Then the next transaction on 5th of September, rupees 5,000 paid by check for salaries. So you have paid salaries to your employees or maybe somebody else by way of a check for rupees 5,000. So what do? We debit salaries expenses account and credit the bank column by I am issuing a check. I am issuing a check. Then the next transaction is somewhat interesting. On 10th of September, sorry, On 6th of September, rupees 17,000 received by check from Kolita. Again, a debtor is settling your debts. So which means Kolita is one of your debtors. He is settling rupees 17,000 by way of a check. Then they say purchase goods for 5,000 from Miloda. That is on 7th of September. Again, a cash transaction. Okay. Debit purchases, credit cash book, cash column. Then the transaction that I mentioned on 10th of September. The last transaction that we did was purchase goods. $5,000, that is for purchases. Oh, sorry, 5,000 salaries, and then 17,000 debts, and then 5,000 purchases. So now see the next transaction. 10th of September, rupees 350 was charged by the bank for a dishonored check. Now what happens in banks, you know, when you deposit a check, there is no charge. But when the same check is returned by way of a dishonor, we call it as a dishonor, maybe the drawer of the check doesn't have funds or whatever, then the check bounces. We call that as the check being bounced or returned. At the time of return, the bank will charge a commission. The bank will charge a commission, that is for processing the check, and for the service that they offer, they charge a commission, right? And this is also partly payable to the clearinghouse also. So as a result, what happens? Now this transaction will appear in your bank account. In your bank account. But the transactions pertaining to your bank account will be received or seen by you only when you receive the bank statement. Okay, you have to be mindful about that. The bank related transaction, that is the transactions which are happening directly in the bank account, is visible to you or will be coming to your knowledge only when you receive the bank statement. Okay, but now what has happened? People have access to their bank transactions online. You can look it to your account by way of your mobile or maybe your online platform. So many other mediums have come in. So you can see your bank transactions then and there. What is your available balance? So good old days, people doesn't even know what is their bank balance currently, because they will maintain a record in their cash book which may not be same as in the bank. That is the next chapter that we are going to learn. Very important topic. So what happens in bookkeeping? The bank column that is maintained by the bookkeeper is just a mere record. The accurate picture of the two bank columns, that is your debit column of the bank and the credit column of your bank, is the reflective ultimate balance in your bank account. But bank might also have some direct transactions. So your bank balance is actually not same as what you have in the cash book. Okay. Now this is one such transaction. There, the bank has charged a commission of 350 rupees from your bank account for a dishonored check. Now, actually speaking, this should be known to you only in the next month when you get the bank statement. But now here in the question per se, since we are required to record it, we have to record it. So what is this? This is an expense to you. 350 is an expense to you. So you might call it as bank charges or whatever for the dishonored check. And you have to credit your bank column with 350. With 350. Okay. Then the next transaction, you are encashing a check for rupees 2000 for a customer. Now there is a customer who needs immediately money. So he comes to you and say, look, I have a check. You don't have to worry, you will get the money. But by keeping this check, can you give me cash? You keep this check with you and give me cash. So what do you do? Because of the relationship, you accept the check, which could be a cash check, right? Crossed cash check, but you are going to give cash to this customer. Customer is a known customer, so you are going to give cash. So this transaction is actually, you are receiving a bank check and you are giving cash. So the debit and the credit is somewhat interesting because it is in your cash book itself. Your debit is into the bank column, credit is into the cash column. Okay, debit is into the bank column, credit is into the cash column. That is how it happens. And the last transaction on 25th of September, where you are purchasing a computer for 30,000 by way of a check. Okay, right. Now, can you just go through the transactions and how we have recorded? And if you have a question, please ask. We have recorded all the transactions. So if you have any clarifications that you require, you can ask. I can even. Any questions that you have with regard to the transaction recorded? Okay, then the next part is balancing the account. Balancing the account. So now here you will see balancing the account in the sense there are two columns, cash and the bank. So your balancing should happen separately. So first let us look at the cash column, right? Cash column you will see debit side you have a 50,000 debit. Credit side you have 30,700, 5,000 and 2,000. So obviously you have to take the largest total, which is the 50,000. So that will be your total. And on the bank column, again, you have to see the debit column as well as the credit column. So debit column 30, 42, 59, somewhat 61. But this side it is less. So now you have to put up the totals. Cash column 50,000, bank column 61,000. Okay. So bank cash column 50,000 is correct. But credit side, if you look at it, it is not 50,000. It is lesser than that. 31, 36, 38, 38,700. So what happens? There is a balance coming into the cash book, which is going to be your carried forward balance and the brought down balance. Similarly, on the bank column also, 61 you have, on this side 40, 45, 45,350. So your balancing amounts will be cash 11,300 and bank 15,650. Hope this is correct. Is it understood how you do the balancing? And now in your trial balance, if you are looking at a trial balance, the two balances that are appearing below the totals, 11,300 and the 15,650 will be your cash book balance and the bank account balance. Okay, this is the balance that you will take as the cash balance, and this is the balance that you will take as the bank account balance. Any questions? Have you all understood this? Or is there any questions? Yes, there is a question asking how this cash book balance is 11,300. So I hope it is correct. Now this side, the total cash column debit total is 50. Credit total is not 50. So we have to take the highest total, which is 50. Now look at the balancing. 30, 31, 36, 38, 38,700. So 38,700 means it is not yet 50. So what do? You have to put a balancing figure, which is 11,300. So 38,700 plus 39 plus 11 means 50,000. That is how you get the balancing figure, and that will be the balance brought forward. So when they start the next month, this will be the balances of their cash book and the bank account. Okay. Are there any other questions before we move on to the next one? Right. So now let's look at the next question, which was on trial balance. So I hope you would have done it. Let us look at the first question. So there are list of balances given, and they say from the following balances extracted from the books of a trader, prepare trial balance as on 31st December 2019. Now, this trial balance, of course, very simple one. But if you look at the past papers, in the exam, what you get is a very difficult and lengthy list of accounts. Okay, be mindful about it. If you had gone through the past papers, question number 1 will have a huge list of accounts, and those names you have to familiarize. Now here, what I have given in this is just to make you understand how this trial balance works. But as we go on, when we learn with more terminologies, the list of accounts and the balances that you will see in the examination will be totally different. Okay, so you have to keep on practicing what are the accounting terms that we are using. Now when we go on further, there will be new terminologies coming in that you need to familiarize. Okay, so these are just basic ones. So when you get a question, assuming that you have got a question of this kind in the examination, what you will do first? That is most important. Okay, so how do I approach this kind of a question? So what you need to do first is, in the question paper itself, in the examination, what you can do is, you can first mark these items that you are seeing here: cash in hand, cash at bank, bills, like you have the items. No? By reading the name of these accounts, what you have to do is, on a side, or maybe on the left side, or maybe here on the right side, here, you can mark these as the 5 items. What are the 5 items? Whether it is an asset, sorry, whether it is a liability, whether it is a capital related account, whether it is an income, or whether it is an expense. These are the 5 things that you need to understand: asset, liability, capital or equity elements, income and expense. So what you can do is you can mark asset. If it is asset, just put A. Liability is L. If it is capital, you can say C. Income I. Expense E. Okay. I'll give you 1 minute. Quickly put. Those who haven't done it, you can just mark it. Just mark it whether it is an asset, liability, income, expense or equity or capital. Okay. Right. Let us look at it quickly. Cash in hand, it's an asset. Cash at bank, again an asset. Bills receivable is an asset because anything that is receivable to you is an asset. Bills payable. So if you have received an electricity bill, that is a bills payable. So that is a liability. Sundry debtors, anything in the context of debtors will be a asset to you. Anything in the context of creditors will be a liability. Sundry creditors means liability. Capital, straight away you can say it's a capital element. Drawings. Drawings. Now drawings, you know what it is. We have learned it maybe in the first chapter. So drawings is where the owner of the business takes goods or money for his personal use. So what does this mean? Anything that is taken up by the owner himself from the business is known as drawings. So what it means, you have put some capital and part of that capital now you're taking. So drawings means actually it's a capital element, but it is a negative capital element. You have to remember that drawings is something that you take out. So drawings is actually, you can mark it as a capital, but you have to remember it's a negative capital. Okay, it's a debit to the capital. So those are the first part. The second part, sales, it's an income. Purchases, expense. Carriage inward. What do you mean by carriage inward? Carriage inwards means anything that you bring into the business for the purpose of sales. The stocks that you bring in, there will be a charge, labor charge for you. So that is known as carriage inwards. So it's actually an expense to you. As far as the business is concerned, it's an expense to you. Then salaries, again expense. Advertisement expense, insurance expense. Furniture is a fixed asset. Furniture here is a fixed asset. So it is again an asset. Stocks, that is a remaining stock, which means again an asset. Office rent is an expense. So let me repeat it again. Cash in hand, asset. Cash at bank, asset. Bills receivable, asset. Bills payable, liability. Sundry debtors, assets. Sundry creditors, liability. Capital is straight away a capital element. Drawings is a negative capital. Sales, income, purchases, expense. Carriage inward, expense. salaries expense, advertisements expense, insurance expense, furniture is an asset, stocks is an asset, and office rent is an expense. So why I wanted you all to mark whether it is asset, liability or whatever, because once you have marked that, now the balances that are reflected here, you will get an idea. Okay, because they haven't said whether these balances are debit or credit. That is a big problem here. Because when you are preparing the trial balance, you have to pick these balances and put it into the two columns, debit column and the credit column. But you don't know whether these balances are debit or credit. So now we can make a decision because I have marked all these items whether those are asset, liability, capital, income or expense. So can you recall that chapter that we did on the assets, the account classifications and the normal balance? I taught you all how to identify the normal balance of accounts. So if it is an asset, what is the normal balance? Liability, what is the normal balance? So there could be an exception. We are not talking about the exception here. We are doing this question based on what is the normal balance. So you know that if it is an asset, it has to be a debit balance. If it's a liability, credit balance. Capital, credit balance, except the drawings and dividends, which are a negative capital. That income, a credit balance, and expense, a debit balance. So now it becomes very simple because you have already marked whether it is asset, liability, income or expense or capital. Now you know what are the types of balances it could have. You can just draw up the two columns and say this will be your trial balance. And those who have done already can check their answers. It's 203,400. The total should be 203,400 on both sides. So I hope those who have done should have that balance. Any questions? Hope most of you all might have done it. Right. So no questions. Let's get on with the next question. Okay, the second part. So again, they have given a trial list of balances, and you have to prepare the trial balance. You have to prepare the trial balance. So again, the same process. First, you have to mark whether these are asset, liability, income, expense, or capital. And then you have to put it into the trial balance format, which is the two column format. You have to call it debit and credit. And then you have to say what kind of a balance it is. Okay. Now in the earlier question, it's coming. Oh, the screen is not present. Oh. Trial balance. full pay no? Total right. Right. Okay. Thanks. Sorry about the interruption. I was just checking whether the screen is visible to you all clearly. Okay. So going back to the second question, first you have to mark all the items whether it is asset or liability. So I don't think that anything different from the previous year. It's the same thing, but there is only one difference here. I don't know whether you all know it. On the right side of it, debtors you know, creditors you know, opening stock it's clear. What is wages and what is salary? There are two things. Wages and salaries. What is the difference between the two? Or is there a difference? Anyone? What is the difference between wages and salaries? Wages are daily payments, okay. Salaries are monthly basis, yes. That is somewhat acceptable answer, but what you need to know is salaries are normally paid to your permanent staff or permanent employees who are working with the company or the business, because they will be paid, as you all correctly pointed out, they will be paid once a month and they are expected to do any function that the company expects you to do. There is no question about it. They have to do anything that the company expects you to do, because as per the contract you have to do it. But the wages are paid for temporary nature of activities. Say in some cases, what happens, the labor charges, say somebody, people might be working as laborers, they will unload certain goods that have been brought into the business, or maybe you might load certain items to the vehicles. So laborer kind of staff, whoever working in your organization, outsourced staff, for them sometimes you might pay, as you all pointed out, daily or weekly wage payments. They are also getting something called a salary, but it is paid, as you all said, like daily or weekly. That is for the particular service that they have provided. So that kind of a thing is known as wages. Right? So whether it is wages or salaries, both will be expenses. But there is a question which has been asked by one of you all, that is with regard to the first one, whether we can show the capital as 50,000 minus 80,000, that is 32,000. No, that's wrong, because capital is a separate account, drawings is a separate account. You should not net off these two, okay? Because you might we learn netting off. Netting off is not permitted as per accounting unless if those are of the same nature. Now here we don't want to call this as of same nature. You have to show whatever the capital that you have initially put. You have to show separately whatever that you have taken out from the business. That's why we keep capital and drawings separately. Now say in some other questions you might get dividends also. So when you have dividends, it is not correct for you to go and deduct it from the capital, because dividends are a payment from your profits. Okay, so as a result, you should not net off capital and drawings. Those should be reflected separately in the trial balance. And when you are preparing financial statements also, you will see we will show these two separately. I will teach you all how to show it in the financial statement. So we will show it separately. Okay, right. So in this question also you have 70,000 capital and drawings 9,000. So you should not set off those two. So the answer for this will look like this. Those who have done can check. It has to be 180,000. Okay. Right. So now let's move on with the new topic. I hope the handout is made available to you. Which is on bank reconciliation. Okay, which is on bank reconciliation. So as I told you, this is another important topic. That's why we did the cash book, and then we are coming into this. So this has a relevance to what we learned just now, a short while ago. Okay, so why you need to prepare a bank reconciliation, now those will come into this. And mind you, in examination, this is a separate question. Okay, but it's not that this is tested every time. They will test it once every other examination, I think. Yes, every other examination it has been tested. So it doesn't mean that you will not get tested also every time. We don't know, but as far as the examination structure is concerned, this is one separate question. Okay, depending on your luck, you might get it or may not get it, because this is one question that you can easily score 20 marks. Okay, there is nothing that can stop you scoring 20 marks. So you have to be very sure about this question, because you can easily score the 20 marks. Okay, right. So what is bank reconciliation? Bank reconciliation is a process performed by a company to ensure that the company's records are correct with the bank's records. Now I told you just before this, starting this chapter, in the previous prime entry books question, I explained to you this. The cash book has a column which is called the bank column. Now the bank column records whatever that you have recorded may not exactly match with the bank's information, because if you have the bank account, then what you are recording in the cash book is actually a mirror image of the bank account. Mirror image of the bank account. But there can be various other transactions that may happen in the bank account. So it is very unlikely that you can see the bank account which is maintained in the cash book and the record maintained by the bank is supposed to be same and equal every time. Okay, it is very unlikely. There can be possibilities, unless you don't have any transactions, these two can match, but most of the time there will be a difference. So why do we prepare a bank reconciliation? Is to ensure that these two records are in order, and we are sure that whatever the differences that there are, I know about all those transactions. Okay, because you cannot be waiting for years and years to get to know what are the unknown transactions are. So as a result, companies do bank reconciliations maybe once a month or maybe weekly. With the current advancements in technology, you can even do daily also. There is no harm, because you know what the bank balance is, bank transactions are from your online platform, or maybe through your mobile you can check your bank transactions. So you can go even to the extent of doing a reconciliation on a daily basis. But in good old days, people were doing it once a month. Why? Once a month only the bank statement comes. So when the bank statement is received, people do reconciliations with their cash book records. So what is the objective? To ensure that the company records which are maintained in the cash book are correct with the bank's records. So if the two sources are independent of each other, then this provides some confidence that the data is accurate. What do you mean by that? Now you know the cash book is maintained by your bookkeeper or the accountant. That is within your company. But the bank statement is given by some third party. That is your bank. So they are again an independent party. So they are also maintaining your record. You are also maintaining your own record, means two independent parties are maintaining records. Now, the records maintained by these two independent parties are now getting matched by way of this reconciliation. So when you have two independent parties, we assume that mostly the information populated to be correct or accurate. There could be mistakes. We don't say that there couldn't be any mistakes, but most of the time we understand that there is some level of confidence that we have that these two information will be somewhat accurate. Okay. As I told you, in the real world, the amount stated in a bank statement as a customer's bank balance on a particular date is unlikely to be the same as the balance in the customer's cash book. So it is very rare that you see both these balances to be equal, but it doesn't mean that it cannot be. There is a possibility of having that also. Now we look at the bank reconciliation definition. A bank reconciliation statement is prepared to discover the reasons for mismatches between the balance confirmed in a bank statement and the bank balance stated in the cash book. So what is a bank reconciliation statement? If you are requested to write a description or a definition, this is what you have to write. So a bank reconciliation statement is prepared. Why? To discover the reasons for mismatches between the balance confirmed in a bank statement and the bank balance stated in the cash book. Okay. So let us look at what are the reasons for these differences. Number one, checks deposited but yet to be realized. Checks deposited but yet to be realized. Now this is very interesting. As I told you, if you can recall the cash book question that we did, I told you when the checks are received, what I will do, I will initially record it as cash, and then when I send it to the bank, I will credit my cash column and put it into the debit of the bank column. Now the checks have gone to the bank. Checks are deposited, but the bank will not immediately give you credit for the checks deposited. Why? There is a clearing process. So it has to go through the clearing house, and then only the funds will be made available for you to be withdrawn. So at least there is a 1 or 2 day difference between the checks deposited and the realization of same. So in one particular instance, if you look at it, maybe you would have deposited the check, so you would have debited your bank column in the cash book, but the bank is not yet credited your account. So when you get the bank statement, you will see I have marked a check as deposited, whereas bank doesn't show that check. Obviously, the two balances will have a difference. The two balances will have a difference. Why? You say that I have deposited a check, but the bank says you have deposited a check, but it is not yet available for you to withdraw. So I haven't given you the credit yet. That is what we call it as checks deposited but yet to be realized. The second difference is the vice versa. Checks issued but yet to be presented to the bank for payment. Now the first instance, checks deposited but yet to be realized, is you know that it could be 1 or 2 days. Within those 2 days, you know what has happened to the check. But in the second scenario, where checks issued but yet to be presented to the bank, is somewhat where you don't know. And you don't know the time duration also. What is it? Let me give you an example. Okay, let's look at the board and understand this. Now, you are the company. Okay, and let's say XYZ company is your supplier. Is your supplier. So what do? You purchase goods. You purchase goods from XYZ company. For credit. So when I say credit, you know what is it. Okay. And there is an agreement to pay within, let's say, 30 days. 30 days. Okay. Now what happens? Let's say after about 20 days, you give this party a check. Okay? For settlement. Let's assume you give this check on the 10th of January 2021. Just for example. Okay? So you have purchased goods on credit, which is on 30 days credit, but as agreed on the maybe say on the 20th or maybe on the 30th day, you have settled by giving a check. Now, when you give this check, what you will do? There is a double entry in your books. What is the double entry? You will debit XYZ company because he is your creditor, so your creditor balance has to come down, and you will credit your bank account. Why? Because you are giving a check. You are giving a check. Okay, so let's say 695742 is your check number. You have given the check. So the creditor who has supplied goods to you, now when this happens, you have marked this in your cash book. Debit XYZ company, you have marked your creditor, you have reduced it. You have credited your bank account. Bank account means in the cash book, bank column, you will have marked, let's say we will put an amount also to understand it better, 50,000. Rupees 50,000. Okay. So what will happen in your cash book? You will reduce your bank balance by 50,000. Now the check has gone here. Check has gone here. And this person, XYZ company, whoever the accountant or whoever, has gone and put this check in his drawer, table drawer, and he has forgotten it. He has forgotten it. So this check is now lying there. Somehow he has missed it. he finds it, let's assume, just for example, somewhere on 25th of March 2021. Okay. So you have given the check on the 10th of January, that is this month, but now he is going to look at this check only in March. So until this time, what will happen? This check will never get deposited to his bank account. If it is not getting deposited to his bank account, this will never reflect in your bank account because it has to come through the clearing house. Okay, so it is very if both the companies have their bank accounts in the same bank, you can understand. But still, if it is something to happen, the latest it could happen is 27th March 2021. Okay. Then only the check will be paid the latest. So now what happens? If you look at ABC company's bank account, as per the bank, let's say their bank is Element Bank. Element Bank. So Element Bank will send them statements. January there will be a statement. January month end, this check will not appear. Again, February there will be a statement. This check will not appear. Why? It has come only. Now they get a check on March, sorry, the statement on March, and then they will see this. So what does this mean? You have issued a check, but the check has not come for payment. So when you are doing the January reconciliation, you don't see the check. When you are doing the February reconciliation, you don't see the check. When you are doing the March reconciliation only, you will see this check because it will get paid. So what happens here? This is a real scenario. In businesses, this happens. Sometimes what happens, you give a check and this person gets misplaced it, and after about 3 or 4 months, he will come and say, look, I misplaced it. Can you give me another check? Then that will be a long procedure. Okay? So you have to understand this concept. This is a practical scenario which can happen in businesses where people will receive checks and they will not put it to the bank account. So until XYZ puts it to their bank account for payment, it will not get reflected in your bank statement. Okay? So I would like you all to take down this just for your understanding. If you have any questions, please ask. So what are we trying to establish here? It is the checks issued but not presented for payment. So this will be there till the month of March, because January you won't see it, February also you won't see it. In March only you will see this. So until such time, you can now realize that when I gave the check, I immediately recorded this. So my bank balance, according to me, according to ABC company, my bank balance will be less by 50,000. But what will happen LMN Bank? They will show my bank balance to be higher by 50,000. When? For January, for February. Only when they come to March, they will reduce this 50,000 from my bank account. So in the statement of January and February, I will see this not there. So obviously, there will be a difference between the two records. Do you understand that? The two records. What are the two records? The cash book of ABC company and the statement produced by LMN Bank. Statement produced by LMN Bank. This has to be very clear. Any clarifications? Any questions? Okay. Right. So, the first reason, checks deposited but yet to be realized. So that we understand. You have deposited check, but the bank will take at least 2 days to tell you whether this check can be, the amount can be now withdrawn or not. Okay, that is a straightforward one. The second one is what we saw now: checks issued but not or yet to be presented to the bank for payment. So that is what we saw just now on the board. Third one, amounts such as bank service charge, interest, check, book charges that have been recovered by the bank directly. Can we recall the example or the question that we did at the beginning of today? The cash book question, where I told you the 350 rupees related transaction, where the bank recovered rupees 350 directly from your bank account. So now what happens? The bank will recover certain amounts from your bank account directly without even telling you. That can happen because the bank will have the right. When you entered into the contract with the bank to open up the bank account, you are complied with the requirement by the bank to charge you with certain service charges. Now you know banks do collect a lot of service charges when you don't maintain in the average balance. Okay. Then when they issue you a checkbook, then when a check is returned, when you ask for a balance confirmation. So there are various transactions for which bank will charge you with some fees. And similarly, in the case of a current account, it won't happen. But in the case of in Sri Lanka, you don't get interest paid for current accounts. But if you have a savings account, you will be paid by a certain amount of interest by the bank. So that also is not notified to you. You will see it only in the statement. They will not tell you as and when they credit the interest, look, we are going to credit this amount to your account. No. Interest will be credited. That's all. So there will be a lot of transactions that are happening directly into your bank account, which are the expenses or the fees that will be recovered by the bank directly. These are all known as adjusting entries. Adjusting entries. Then there could be another scenario like this. Direct deposits made by the customer to the bank account. Now you assume that the early example, ABC company And let's assume that XYZ company is one of your debtors. And this debtor is in Jaffna, let's assume, just for example. So he comes to Colombo once a month. Okay, that customer. So whenever you want this customer to make payments for their purchases, you can ask the customer to deposit money directly into your bank account. Even we get our colleagues or maybe friends to do it, no? To deposit money directly to your account. So likewise, your customers also may directly deposit the money to your bank account. Now, when they do it, if they inform you that, look, I have deposited money, fine. But that doesn't mean that you can go and record that transaction in the cash book. Because for accounting, you learn that every transaction has to be supported by a source document. So just because one of your customers call you and tell, look, I have deposited money to your bank account, you can't just go and do it. What you can do is you have to get a confirmation for the deposit from the customer. Maybe he can send you the deposit slip or send a picture of your deposit slip. Then you can maybe record it. But if not, what will happen? You will see these direct deposits only when you get the statement, only when you get the bank statement. So you have to be very careful. All direct deposits that are coming into the bank account sometimes might not be recorded in the cash book until you see them in the bank statement. Okay. So the 4 types of transactions that we looked at here all will cause a difference in the 2 records. Okay. When we say differences in balances, mean the 2 records. What are the 2 records? Your cash book bank column and the balance stated balance appearing in the bank statement. These are the 2 elements. Continuing on the same, amounts collected by bank through standing order instructions from other parties. Now this is also a possibility. Sometimes when there are recurring payments, which means the same payment will happen every month or maybe every year. Say something like the insurance payments, or maybe you have to pay exam fees or school fees or whatever. So what you can do is you can request the bank to make this payment on your behalf every month or every year. So you will instruct the bank in advance to do it. Okay. And you know this, that you are given instructions. But when you are recording it in your books, now say let's assume that in the month of January, there is one standing order which you have given to the bank. So you know it. But just because you know it, you can't just go and record it in your cash book. You have to wait till the bank records it in their records. If the bank has not done that standing order, then you can't record it in your cash book, even though you know it. Okay, because obviously it is going to create a difference between the 2 records. And obviously, you know, checks that have been dishonored by the bank. So what will happen? When you go and deposit a check, you will debit your bank column. So the check is now deposited. But after 2 days time, the check might be returned or dishonored. So what will happen? You will not see that credit in your bank account. But you will come to know when this check was dishonored only when you get the bank statement. Otherwise, by looking at your online transactions or maybe looking at it from a mobile platform. So assuming that you have only the bank statement, what is going to happen? You will see this dishonored check only when the bank statement is received by you. And finally, the 2 types of errors that can happen. One is your bookkeeper or the accountant might do mistakes. That is possible in human. Any mistake can happen in your recording your cash book transactions. A transaction that should go to the bank, you record it in the cash column. Error. So those type of errors can happen. Still, those are also reasons for the differences. And very importantly, there could be an instance where the bank's accounting systems also could make errors. So these are two possibilities. These are two possibilities that you have to be mindful. Your accountant or the bookkeeper making mistakes in your cash book. Similarly, the bank system, accounting system also makes certain mistakes in their records. So altogether, we have seen about 8 reasons. 8 reasons where the two records, that is your cash book and the bank statement, the two balances being different. Now, in examination, sometimes you will be asked to write these. What are the reasons? Reasons for differences in the two balances. So you have to be aware of these 5. You don't need to write it in the same way that I have given here, but you can take the meaning and write it in your own words. What are the 8 things? Checks deposit not yet realized, checks issued but not presented, direct debits or credits to your bank account. That is what adjusting entries means. Then direct deposits by the customer, and amounts collected by the bank through standing orders, checks that have been dishonored, errors in the cash book, errors, very rarely errors in the accounting systems. Okay. Now there are some key points to be remembered. The reconciliation is always as at a specific date. Okay. Now we have to decide when are we going to do the reconciliation. If you are going to do it today, as of today, you will have to freeze your cash book as of today, and you have to get a bank statement also from the bank as of today. But what people generally do, they make a choice. They generally go for a month-end date. So normally they do it as of 31st January or maybe 28th February. Likewise, they define their own time period to do this bank reconciliations. Reconciliation could well be the balance as at a particular date as reported in the cash book and as at the same date as stated in the bank statement. The reconciliation involves 2 aspects, very important. Each item in the bank statement needs to be traced to the bank account. Each item in the bank account should be traced to the bank statement. So I will explain this when we are doing the question. So don't worry about it. And these are the objectives of preparing a bank reconciliation statement. Again, this is very important because it has been tested in examination. They will call it sometimes what are the objectives of preparing a bank reconciliation, or sometimes they say what is the importance of preparing a bank reconciliation statement. Both will be same. So what are the objectives? To ensure the accuracy of balances in the cash book and in the bank account. That is what we have been telling repeatedly. To identify the omissions and errors in the accounting records of the company or bank. Now sometimes what happens, as I told you, your bookkeeper or the accountant might have forgotten to record certain transactions. Similarly, the same thing can happen in the bank also. Okay. Then it will act as a mechanism of internal control, because when you do the reconciliation only, you will come to know what is happening with the cash in the company. Because sometimes the accountants or maybe the bookkeepers can do mistakes, or even they can play out with the sums that they handle. So as a manager or maybe the supervisor or the director of the company, you should know what is happening with the cash balances. or the bank account balances. So the reconciliation will act as a mechanism of internal control, which will give some direction to the supervisors or the managers to understand what are the transactions that are going into the bank account and what are the transactions that are missing as of the particular day and why those transactions are missing. So they will get a lot of information when they look at the bank reconciliation statement. Then the next one, to establish any undue delays in the collection or clearance of checks. Sometimes what happens, you might have received checks, but you have not deposited. Okay. Sometimes you have deposited, but the checks are not cleared by the bank. So you need to find out what is the reason. Then lastly, to discover transactions that are yet to be recorded in the cash book. So your customers have given you checks. There are a lot of transactions that you have entered into issued checks, but you haven't gone and recorded any transaction in the cash book. That is a mistake. So those have to be identified. That is the objective of doing a bank reconciliation. Bank reconciliation will throw out those. Bank reconciliation will immediately throw out those. When you do a reconciliation, you will understand. And how a bank reconciliation statement will look like. Now, this is a common template that I am showing you, but in examination, you can do it in various ways. Okay. This is how it will look like. Bank reconciliation statement as at December 31, 2000, whatever your date. What is the starting point? You can start with the balance as per bank statement. Okay, balance as per bank statement. And then to that we say that you need to add. You need to add the deposits yet to clear, and you will deduct the checks issued but not yet presented, and then you will match the bank balance as stated in the cash book. Okay, right. I want you all to understand this very clearly, because this is what is going to help you okay. Right. Now, I am looking at the two sources. The bank account as per the cash book, the bank account as per the bank. Okay. So let's assume at the beginning of January, 1st of Jan 2021. Here you have 250,000. Here also you have 250,000. Okay, we are starting with an equal position. Your cash book also says your bank balance is 250, and the bank is also saying that your Bank account balance is 250. Now look what is going to happen, right? The company during the month, I'm not specifying the date, deposits. Okay, deposits. Let's take, you have gone and deposited checks, 3 checks, 50,000, 60,000, and 20,000. Okay, you have deposited 3 checks. Now let's look at the background. So these two appear 50, 60, 20 here, but here only 50 and 60. Fine. Right. Then we'll take payments. Payments. To make it simple, I'm showing it in negative payment and another payment of 60,000. Okay. Here also the 60,000 has come. Right? Now, what is the closing balance here? Closing balance here. So 250, 300, 360, 380. Again, you will deduct an 80, so it becomes 300,000. Okay. We need to make a slight difference. Yes. Okay, here what happens? 250, 300, 360, and here it will be 340. Okay, 250, 300, 360, 340. Okay, now look at the two records. As per your cash book, your balance is 300,000. But as per bank, they say it is 400,000. Sorry, 340,000. Now you have a problem. Why? I hope the board is visible.
Sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So 300,000 on the bank account as per cash book, 340,000 as per the bank statement. So now you are required to do a BRS. That is the bank reconciliation statement. Bank reconciliation statement. Now you will see, as per the theory, there was one section which says you have to trace the cash book records with the bank statement, and then the bank statement records with the cash book. Okay. Now here I have made it very simple because I have not put the check numbers and so on. But let's try to do it with this information. But in the questions that I have given, you have that additional piece of information, right? Okay. So let's assume that what I should do. When I start with this side, I know I have deposited a check for 50, 60 and 20. By the way, you know what is the check number of this and this. Okay. So assuming the same is there. Same is there. I observe this 50,000. I observe this 50,000. I observe this 60,000. Assuming the same check numbers are there. And cut off this. Okay. Then I go to the, so this one is not marked. Okay. Then I go to payments. I know what is the check number that I have given. If the same thing appears there, I will mark off that. So I take this 20. So what is remaining? 60. Okay. So likewise, similarly, what I have to do, once I have completed this side, I have to go to this side. Then I have to see what are the items which are not marked, and I have to check it against this. Unfortunately, in this question, I have limited transactions, so there is nothing here for you to check there. Okay, right. Now you see, your balance is 300,000. Here it is 340,000. Okay, so there is a difference of 40,000. Now, what I am trying to establish here is, what is this 40,000? How it has come? How it has come? Okay, so I have now identified the items which have not marked, which have not been marked against the two sources, bank account cash book source and the bank statement. So the two items that are remaining is, one is this, the other one is this. Okay. Now let us understand what are these two items. What is this? This is a check that I have deposited in the bank account, but the bank doesn't show. Bank doesn't show. What do you call it? What do you call it? Checks deposited, not yet realized. Checks deposited, not realized. You get my point? I have deposited a check for 20,000 in the bank account, so I recorded it in my cash book. But when I go and look at the bank statement, they didn't show, or they don't show this 20,000. So what does it mean? As per their records, they have not yet received the money for you to, for them to credit you. So they have not credited me, which means I am only showing it, whereas they don't show. Look at the second scenario. I have made a payment to one of my suppliers by giving them a check. for 60,000. So when you give the check to the supplier, immediately you will credit your bank account in the cash book. So that's why this. But when I get my bank statement, I go and check whether I have received this, I have got this check in the bank. I check this number and I go through the check numbers there, which is not that clear. So what does it mean? Checks issued, not received for payment. Not received. You see, the first instance, checks deposited, not realized. Here, checks issued, but not received for payment. So bank has not got this check yet. As a result, they haven't debited my account. Now, another important aspect is there that you have to be very carefully note. Now, when you are having the bank account in your cash book, what would be this balance? Is it debit or credit? As per your bank books, what is that balance is? Whether it is a debit balance or the 250,000 is a debit or a credit. It is a debit balance because it's an asset to you. So once you do this transaction, again this 300,000 is also a debit. Okay? Because it's an asset to you. Now look at the bank side. Now I am the bank. I'm not the company. I'm looking at it from the bank side. So as per the bank, this 250,000, what is it for the bank? It's a liability. Whenever this company comes, the bank has to pay this 250,000. So this is a liability. So they will show it as a credit balance. That is why when you are looking at a bank statement, first you will see whether there is a debit balance or a credit balance in your bank statement. Generally, if you have not gone more than what you have, you will see a credit balance. So in the bank reconciliation, very important, first thing that you need to note, ultimately we do the reconciliation based on the closing balances. So when you are doing the reconciliation based on closing balances, you have to ensure if it is debit here, it has to be credit here. Okay? Sometimes there could be debits also here. Then it will become a problem. We have to see how we deal with that. Okay? So generally, if it is a debit here, it will be a credit here. If it's a debit here, then that will be called by the different name. What it means, it is an overdrawn balance. Overdrawn balance. You know, in your savings account, what you can withdraw is maximum up to 100 rupees or 1 rupee. I don't know now. Things have changed. So what you can withdraw maximum, unless you go over the counter, is what you have. But in the case of a current account, if you have any established facilities, you can go and overdraw your account. Overdraw your account. So as a result, the bank current account might have different balances. Sometimes it could be debit, sometimes it could be credit. Okay? So you have to be very careful whether it is a debit or a credit. So bank reconciliation generally, as per your records, if it is a debit, it will be a credit on this side. Okay? So I want you all to take down this quickly. All the information. Of course, the overdrawn balancing is not required. That is just for information. Please take down the remaining information. We need to do the sample bank reconciliation statement. We'll erase only this part so that I'll keep the remaining. So the standard template I have given is for the bank reconciliation statement. You will say bank reconciliation statement. Then you will say as at. Okay. Let's say this is 31st January, 31st Jan 2021. Okay. Then your starting point will be balance as per bank statement. Balance as per bank statement is how much? 340. Right? Then my closing point will be balance as per cash book. That is 300,000. So what I need to input is two items. Checks deposited, not realized. Then checks issued, not received for payment. Those are the two elements missing. Now the question is, what do I do with these amounts? You know, checks deposited not realized was how much? 20,000. Checks issued not received for payment was 60,000. So obviously now you will understand what to do with these two balances. If I am starting with the bank statement, what do? I will add checks deposited not realized and I will deduct the checks issued not received for payment. So what does it mean? 340 plus 20, 360 minus 360. You need to understand this. It's not a mathematical thing that we are trying to do. What happens when you say checks deposit not realized means I have included this amount in my balance. Am I correct? I have included this amount in my balance. So this is higher. Whereas the bank is not showing this balance. When I take this 340, this amount is not there. So that's why I am coming and adding it. That's why I am coming and adding it. Secondly, when I look at this 300,000, what has happened with this 60,000? That has already been deducted. That is why this amount is very low compared to this. But when you look at this balance, this has not got deducted because that check didn't come to the bank. So as a result, this amount is higher, more than this. So I need to take it out from here. That is what we are basically doing. Not just don't memorize this template. You will be in trouble. If you try to realize, if I start with bank statement, I will add this, deduct this, I will end up with cash flow. Generally, students do that, or the candidates do that. They try to memorize this as a standard formula sort of a thing. They try to memorize. Don't do it. Never do it. That is what I would urge you all. Okay? Don't do it. Because you need to understand the concept. You need to identify the reasons for the differences. That is what we have identified. So if you have identified the reasons, then you have to logically think how this is impacting the two balances. When I look at the checks deposited not realized, that amount is included here already. But it is not included here. So I am trying to start from here to reach up here. So what do I need to do? Something that is not included here, I need to add it. Okay. Then when I look at this, checks issued not received for payment. When I gave the check, I have already gone and deducted it from here. So my balance has already come down by this amount. But the bank didn't get this. So as a result, their balance is higher. So what do I do? Checks issued not received for payment, I will come and deduct it. Okay. So that is the logical thinking behind the bank reconciliation statement. So where you will start with the bank statement and you end up with the cash flow. What do you do in between? Checks deposited not realized, you will add. Checks issued not received for payment, you will deduct. Now this is the basic bank reconciliation statement. Because whatever the items that we had here marked against the bank statement, and then when we mark bank statement balances with this, there was nothing else. But in the questions that you have here, you will have more items appearing. So can you recall, other than these two elements, whatever that you may have remaining, those are called adjusting entries. Adjusting entries. You can recall the particular slide that I have put up. It says any other transactions other than these two are known as adjusting entries. So what you need to do, you have to first go and adjust those transactions either to your bank statement balance or the cash book balance. But generally what we do, we go and adjust our cash book balance because this is something you get independent. You don't go and adjust the bank statement balance. Okay? Unless the question requests you. Rest would be adjusted here. Okay? But the main items will be any time will be these two. Okay? So there are two questions which I have given. Hope you have understood this. And there are two questions which I have given at the bottom. Let me show that. So this is the specimen, as I told you. And then there is a question. I want you all to do this. Okay, so I'll explain it in the next class, but those who can do it, just give a try to do it. And there is another question also after that. Okay, so with this bank reconciliation topic, we have covered all the basics topics. Okay, the basics of accounting is done now. Now we are getting into the more complicated areas where you need to be more cautious about what we are learning. So I would urge you all to complete all the work that we have done so far, the revision work, because don't leave it to the last. It will be very difficult for you to catch up. So please do revise all what we have done, understand the principles of double entry and how you look at the transactions and to draw up the debit and credit. All those will be very important. Okay. So please give a try to do the 2 questions that are in the cash book, which I will do in the class. But next week we will start with a new topic, which is going to be your first accounting standard that we are going to learn. That will be the first accounting standard that we are going to learn. So please do not miss the class. It will be very important. And it has been tested in exams also. So please do attend the class without missing it. It will be theory to start with, but you need to know how an accounting standard will come into the examination, how it will be tested. Okay, so we need to learn that accounting standard. So please do revise all the work that we have done so far. Okay, right. So we will wind up the day. Have a pleasant day. Meet you all next week.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
sir. Sir, is it okay if we do it in the reverse format as well?
Yes, no problem.
Like we can add the unpresented checks and then deduct
Yes.
unrealized?
Actually, I wanted that also to be done by you all, but unfortunately, I forgot it. Good that you
Okay,
reminded,
sir.
but I think majority have left the meeting. So
Okay.
I'll just keep a note of it. Next week, I will just keep the.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.